Hello, Cardinals. We're going to be talking about our syllabus today, and you see our topic, which is learning about the class. Today's when you're going to learn about things like how you get graded, tardy policies, getting in trouble, behavior in class, how to make up quizzes and tests if you have a bad score. So you're going to want to pay attention. This video is intended to go over this for you, and our vocab word of the day, you're going to get used to seeing that up there, is summative assessments. And a summative assessment is an activity done to see what you have learned. Our focus question is, what can I do to make myself a successful student in science class? So the first thing we want to cover is what you will need for science. You're going to need a binder, a spiral notebook. You'll need pens, pencils, art supplies, and you'll need your Chromebook. All right, so each teacher will talk about this a little bit, so make sure you have those things and they are with you when you head to science class. We study 3 different units during 8th grade science. The first unit we study is weather and climate systems. The second one is usually Earth's dynamic systems, and then we finish with energy, force, and motion. How will you be graded? So grading is vastly different than in 7th grade. You are on an A, B, C, D, F scale. So everything comes back to points. The points that turn into a percentage, and that turns into your grade. So on the left side, you can see the grading scale. So let's say you get a 9 out of 10 on a quiz. 9 divided by 10 is 90%. 90% would be an A minus. Okay. So basically, it's all about accumulating points. All right. So if you get a test and it's out of 50 points, you want to get the most points possible. There are 2 different categories of items that are graded. Those are called formatives and summatives. Formatives are given during the lesson and units to assess mastery. So it's kind of, if you think about it as like practice, those would be investigations, guided readings, exit slips, summaries, discussions. So those are the building blocks of your knowledge. So think of that as like going to practice. And then a summative is given at the end of the lesson or a unit to assess mastery. So that'd be quizzes, projects, assessments, written or performance. So we might have a lab that's graded. We might have a written assessment. We might have a quiz or a project. So if you think about it in terms of like sports, the formative would be like basketball practice, and the summative would be like the game. If you think about it as like maybe choir or band or orchestra, formative would be the practice you do every day in class, and the summative would be your concert. Now, formatives are worth 10% of your grade, and summatives are worth 90%. So the practice is worth 10%, and the games, the summatives, are worth 90%. So what does that mean? Well, let's say on summatives or tests or quizzes, you're sitting at an 86%, which would be a B. Okay, so on some quizzes and some tests and maybe a project, you're sitting at a B for your score. Let's say you've gotten an A on all your formatives. You've got them all turned in. They were all fantastic and wonderful. That would translate into an 87.7%, which would be a B plus. Okay, so you can see how that formative kind of pumps your grade up a little bit. On the other end, let's say you still have an 86% for tests and quizzes, and you're sitting at a B. But for formatives, let's say you have some you didn't turn in, maybe some weren't complete, maybe they were missing, and you're sitting at about a 50%, which would be an F for your summatives, your formatives. That would turn into an 82%, which would be a B for your quarter grade. So you can see how that formative grade, while it's only 10%, ends up playing a large role into your quarter grade. So it kind of bumps you up a plus or takes you down a minus, depending on how you do on those formatives. And we'll visit this throughout the unit, especially at the start of the year when you're getting used to letter grades. What can I do if I make a mistake on work or quizzes? All right, so let's talk about late work a little bit. All right, the number one thing that destroys kids' grades are late work. Okay, so make sure you're getting everything in on time. We'll discuss different ways to keep yourself organized, whether it be an assignment notebook or writing yourself a list every day or using Google Classroom. So if it's a formative, we discount the points, so you lose points. All right, let's say a formative was a short little lab and it was out of 4 points and you didn't get it done. You might be down to 3. If it's half done, you might be down to 2. All right, so it's discounted, which is not good. That's loss of points. If it's a summative, like let's say we have a project and it's late, then you'd be sitting in 85%. So you can get no higher than a B. Even if you got 100% on it, if it was late, you'd be an 85%. Retakes. All right. So for summatives, we offer retakes. All right. During a retake, you can earn up to a B, so 85%. So let's say you take a quiz, you don't do very well. Let's say you get a C minus on it and you want to retake it. You can retake it, but even if you get 100%, you still get a B. If you get an 80%, you get an 80%. So 85 is what it's capped out on. You'll need to complete that summative within 1 week it's returned. So if I hand it back to you on a Thursday, you have until the following Thursday to get that done. We also make you do something called a retake application. We'll cover that more in class, but a retake application needs to be done before the retake is given out. So the retake application is basically asking you what questions you got wrong, what you wrote as the wrong answer, what you should have written as the right answer, and why. So it's us asking and making you rethink your mistakes and learn from your mistakes. So when you have the retake, you can bump up your score. You're only allowed one summative retake. So let's say you have a quiz and you get a D on it, you do a retake and you get a C, that's it. You're at a C. You can only do one retake. So we'll be covering this more as we're handing out quizzes, returns, and things like that. But long story short for this slide, late work, not good. And yes, you can do retakes, but only up to 85%. And they have to have an application completed before you do the retake. Let's talk about plagiarism a little bit. The definition of plagiarism, according to vocabulary.com, is when you take someone's words or ideas as if they were your own. So you're not allowed to cut and paste and steal ideas from other people. This is really easy because we have this thing called the internet. All right. So whatever you're creating or making, you need to either cite your source or make it your own. All right. If it's a formative, we're just going to give you a 0. All right. We'll give your parents a call home. If it's a summative, you'll have to redo it on a new topic. You get a call home and you'll get no higher than an 85%. All right. More than one offense will result in a behavior referral. So a big problem in 8th grade is plagiarism. Kids are trying to earn those points. So you're not allowed to steal other people's ideas as if they were your own. Talk about behavior a little bit. You're expected to follow the classroom rules or building rules. And you can kind of see the consequences. We'll be giving reminders, loss of privileges, conversations, calling parents, referrals, detention. So basically within class, make sure you're behaving. You're allowing everyone to get their learning done. You're being respectful of everyone's time and energy. If you have any questions, make sure you're talking to your teacher. Your specific teacher can explain things in better details. Some classes not watch the soft skills video. That's why this is here. Some classes have, but if you haven't, you can find that soft skills video. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take the article that we read on soft skills. And if you notice, the pictures were missing. All right. So now it is your chance to create the illustrations that would go with each of the soft skills. So within the article, there were 8 different topics. For example, creativity. Well, you need to write the word creativity in the top of that little box, and then you're going to create your own illustration to go with each soft skill. So something that would be representative of creativity or problem solving or leadership. So you're going to get some time in class to do that today. So we're up to our green slide, which is your to-do list. We're going to talk about the syllabus a lot today. Your job is to share that syllabus with your parents. You need to read the soft skills article if you have not done so. And you need to start filling in the illustrations for each of the 8 soft skills. And that is what we're doing today. If you have any questions, please let your teacher know. And have a great day, Cardinals.